This is the Caramel Apples Podcast. Are you ready to bounce in with us into the retro orchard? Join us as we discuss today musical duets of the 70s and 80s. Are you ready? Let's go in 3, 2, 1. When you think about fond memories of the 70s and 80s, it's almost impossible not to remember a huge mainstay in the music realm, that of notable duets.
Yes, yes. We love an awesome duet, which is when two mammoth pop icons come together and collaborate for a few moments of pure amazing bliss.
I agree, Coop. Yeah, the 70s and 80s are known for many great duets. They were so popular back then, and many of these lyrical memories can be recalled to mind instantaneously as they oozed out of our speakers. There were a lot, I mean, a lot of those most memorable examples of duets that beautifully graced radio airwaves.
Mhm.
Almost too many to name. The uptick in the 80s in particular captured a treasure trove of these retro gems.
Something else noteworthy about duets is that it also seemed like it, especially during that time, that almost every movie soundtrack had a powerful duet of some kind that made its way onto the screen. And to the top 40 greats, we'd have the pleasure of hearing each week.
Facts! These heartwarming, wistful tunes provided an emotional escape from the mounting stresses of your day to day life and helped to soothe and minimize them wherever and whenever possible.
Yeah.
Duets were pretty much like the lyrical salve, if you will.
Oh yeah. It's definitely worth the effort to sit back and enjoy the melodic sounds of your favorite artist,
Mhm.
vocally canoodling to your favorite romantic throwback.
Oh, you know it.
Mhm.
It's back in the days of radio when two superstar powerhouse voices came together in an inspired pairing. That was truly something special.
Sure was. Like you said, what made many of these amazing collaborations pure gold is that you had two strong, solid standalone vocal talents coming together.
Hmm.
You think of such big name artists such as George Michael, Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, and Aretha Franklin. The list of intoxicating duets back then were endless.
They were.
These artists had raw, bona fide lyrical gifts in their own right, but combine that with equally captivating vocal talent, like wow. That occurrence was nothing short of ethereal, exquisite.
Well said, Coop. Yeah, this trend really did catch fire in the 80s, where many a duet pulled us in and had us nodding our heads and humming right along with them.
Yeah, even if we didn't understand what they meant.
Totally. And producing all the smiles and feel goods effortlessly as we listened.
Mhm.
How about them 45s?
Quite the collection mom had.
She did. She did.
So much agreed on that one, Kennard. Most of the artists collabing together were basically recording legends.
Hmm.
You really don't see this aspect of music as much these days, which is why revisiting cool retro subjects like duets are quite special. It was such a treat to see who would team up together to launch the next biggest hit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, facts. And like you mentioned a few minutes ago, that a huge number of duets were done in connection of well known movies and pop culture. Those were being showcased. Yet another nod to the completeness and true draw of the power of the 70s and 80s that it possessed. Many projects back then seemed to be more organically tailored and linked up, which helped explain and propel the story effortlessly to be displayed.
A lot of this happened right in the height of the MTV era.
Mm-hmm.
So most things in the media and pop culture took on a whole new feel and meaning connected to it. Songs linked to TV shows, movies, even like live action animated cartoons. It like became a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was a whole packaged experience and it was everywhere. So if a specific project like what we're talking about comes under this creative umbrella, and then you attach to that a key song or duet to that project undertaking, man, talk about euphoric.
Oh, you said it. So, a good example of this, and I'm sure you agree, but you think about the movie Top Gun.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and see the reaction it just brought up.
Absolutely, yes.
Top Gun had all the components. It had key actors that we remember, they cherish. They are icons.
Mm-hmm.
You have key music that went in with it, which the anthem, the theme to the whole thing, is basically known by Berlin's "Take My Breath Away."
Yes.
And we're not saying it's a duet or anything, but we're talking about how powerful certain components put together can make something explosively nostalgic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
Top Gun wasn't just, oh yeah, that movie coming out in the summer. You know, this was Top Gun.
Yeah.
So this was a huge undertaking that happened a lot in different places in the 70s and 80s. But I mean, there was even theme park rides named after this movie. So it wasn't just a movie.
Right. And that's huge because, anytime they do an undertaking of some sort of project, they want the markability of it. So,
Yes. Uh huh.
so you want the movie, the music, all of it to be very intertwined and make people want to see it or listen to it or buy it or whatever. So, yeah, the music does have a way of driving the story.
Totally epic.
Absolutely. So, if some strong message can be described and played out that well in both media and pop culture, just think about what that does for the common population that accompany Main Street
Mm-hmm.
um, in this venture. So, think of what true connection, charm, and romance is to those who have found it and for real experienced it. How many warm duets can you think of that can play out effectively how an average everyday couple fondly feel about one another as the music plays?
Yeah. Or also how a song can really define and draw out those tense emotions of growing apart or even experiencing losing someone from a heartbreak.
Yeah.
So many co-sung songs are a man and woman trading bars about love and heartbreak.
Hmm.
Really, only a gifted few have enough tone, emotion, and chemistry to really resonate.
So, what is it about duet songs that make them so appealing? What's your personal thoughts on that, Kennedy?
Hmm. Maybe it's as simple as the fact that they're very often a love song, and everyone loves a love song. So you think of the many walking examples you know and are aware of in their lives. So my go-to thought in this very moment is our wonderful, dear, sweet parents
Yeah.
who've been there. They've been through a lot and are still going through it in their twilight years. We're so very grateful, you and I, to still have them here with us doing the best that they can.
Yeah.
Even with all the struggles that come with health decline and general aging, it's so nice to have enjoyed life and have been raised by two very caring, special people who define the very epitome of what love truly is.
Yeah. It truly is very special, this year for them as far as love is concerned, because we're happy to say that they'll be celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary this year.
Oh,
60 years. That is 60.
That's crazy.
That is a long time.
It is. It really is.
And they aren't the only ones out there. We realize that they thankfully are part of a large number of folks out there that live the experience of what true love is,
Mhm.
the type of love so often portrayed and described in these duets.
Milestones like this are truly a cherished anomaly, and for our family, we are especially grateful to have so far reached to this point. When describing this level of love and connection, much like this, we ask ourselves, what is it about duet songs that makes them so appealing?
Mhm.
Much like love, it's the melodic blending of two voices displaying powerfully beautiful union of two elite talents, whether it's singing in harmony, unison, or as a call and response.
The best duets move us in ways that other music may not.
Hmm.
So, are we ready to revisit some of these musical masterpieces from this week's Orchard Trek?
Oh, I most certainly am, Coop. So, actually, which particular retro 70s, 80s duet did you have in mind that we'll be discussing and diving into this week?
Oh, well, I've got a couple good ones in mind, Kennedy.
Okay.
These songs trigger memories from key moments back when, remembering everything about it, who you were with, and what you were doing at that particular time.
That's the best.
Yes, these songs create this emotional connection that's really unexpected, but most welcome.
Yes. Through powerful duets, this will be an unforgettable trip down memory lane and will cause so many of us reminiscing to connect on a different level.
Mhm.
These lyrical gems meant a lot to us growing up. We combed through many a retro entry and come up with 10 memorable duets we loved and remember from the 70s and 80s. Are you inspired to launch into our glorious retro time travel in duets? We sure are,
Yep.
because sometimes you need more than one voice to make a truly great pop song. Number 10, Reunited by Peaches and Herb from 1979.
This was a hit song for the R&B duo Reunited, was the second single release from their album Too Hot from 1978, and was a huge crossover smash topping both the soul and pop charts.
Mhm.
It was a number one for 4 weeks on the R&B singles chart, as well as the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart in '79, selling over 2 million copies. Song was written by Dino Baracus and Freddie Perrin.
Oh.
Fun fact: Reunited was a sequel to the duo's 1968 hit We'll Be United, performed by the original Peaches. 7 different women have filled the role of Peaches, but in reference to the original Peaches responsible for participating in this song, this spot was held out by Linda Green, the third Peaches, who appeared on the duo's biggest hits of both Reunited and Shake Your Groove Thing, 1978.
That's a lot of peaches.
Got a little cocktail going on. Okay, so
Reunited,
reunited
and
and
it
it
feels
feels
so
so good.
good. Reunited,
Reunited cause
'cause we
we
understood.
understood.
Reunited.
Reunited. Hey,
Hey,
hey.
that is terrible, isn't it?
Oh, people, please do not judge us for our vocal performance.
We're having fun.
The original is much better.
Very much so.
Number 9, Stop Dragging My Heart Around, 1981.
Okay, this was a masterful hit debuted on the album Belladonna. This Tom Petty Stevie Nicks collaboration was the world's first glimpse into what Stevie Nicks could do as a solo artist. This track is the album's only song that was neither written or co-written by Miss Nicks. Petty sang with Nicks in the chorus and bridge, and his band played on the song. Bass track played by Donald Duck Dunn. Stevie Nicks was deemed the reigning queen of rock and roll and one of the 100 greatest singers of all time by Rolling Stone.
Hmm.
She's also been inducted into the Rock Hall of Fame in 1998 as a key member of Fleetwood Mac. Fun fact, this video was the 25th video played on MTV's launch date on August 1st, 1981. Stop
Stop
dragging
dragging
my,
my,
stop
stop
dragging
dragging
my,
my,
stop
stop
dragging
dragging
my
my
heart
heart
around.
around.
Goodness, who in their right would even dare? Number 8, The Girl Is Mine, 1982.
What can we say about this exciting duet entry? That of Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney pairing. This was actually the second time that these two musical powerhouses have gotten together to record a most memorable duet, first being the popular Say, Say, Say. The year prior in 1981, Michael Jackson and his Beatle buddy gave it another go.
Round 2.
With this melodic, soft rock duet, The Girl Is Mine. The Girl Is Mine peaked at number 2 on the Hot 100 and stayed there for 3 whole weeks.
Gee, that's a shock. It wouldn't be because these two megastars singing together covertly passing licks while melodically fighting over a woman, would it?
Nah.
Nah.
Regardless, this duet was definitely a nostalgic experience as we listened and had thankfully been etched in history with two real mind blowing talents collaborating in sheer bliss. Yet another example that helped boost the popularity of that album.
Awesome.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now, back to the show. 7. Baby Come to Me, 1982.
Performed by the ultra talented Patty Austin and James Ingram, this song was probably one of the greatest baby making jams of all time. Quiet Storm much? So, even though this song was a hit with couples on a wide scale, did you know that Baby Come to Me was far from being an immediate hit?
Hmm.
Yeah, when it was first released in 1982, it only ranked at number 73 on the Hot 100. Yeah, but a little later that same year, this track took on new life and gained newfound exposure from its inclusion on the ABC soap opera General Hospital. In response to that, Baby Come to Me was re-released, and get this, climbed the charts and hit number 1.
What?
Yeah, on both the Hot 100 as well as the adult contemporary charts in early 1983. So, how's that for a turnaround?
They were probably ecstatic.
I bet they were. And I also bet our ornery mom helped out with this because she adored this song.
She really did.
Yes, we'd be downstairs playing, with our toys and everything, and she would be upstairs with her big, oversized city block, big stereo. Yeah, she'd pop her 45 in there and she'd be up there jamming, going back and forth. We're like, hey, Mom, we'll dance with you. 45s.
Oh, boy.
Fun fact, did you know that Mr. James Ingram was born in Ohio?
No way.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Go Midwest. He also did not consider himself a bona fide singer. Yeah, so now how's that for some humility right there?
Yeah.
This guy had an amazing voice.
He really did.
So, also a writer and musician, his talents handsomely contributed to the chemistry that he and Miss Patty Austin had, And that was clearly heard through the beautiful collaborative experience of their voices together. So their chemistry was so undeniable that they paired up yet again for the Oscar nominated 1983 track, How Do You Keep the Music Playing? Our collective caramel apple answer to that very question is to put these two lyricists together again and again and, and again, naturally. Number 6, Ebony and Ivory, 1982.
We've got yet another entry with our favorite Beatle buddy and a wonderful musical collaboration. That being Paul McCartney paired with another talented powerhouse artist, Stevie Wonder. This song was awesome.
Mhm.
It's awesome, but it truly has that very fond early 80s sound.
Mhm.
You know, I remember I think we were going on a trip for I can't remember exactly what we were doing, but we were very young and this was just before our little brother was born and I think he was actually still baking. But I remember we were in the van and we were going to Illinois or Wisconsin or maybe both.
Mhm.
And we were delivering something. And anyway, we were playing in the back of the van and this song came on and it was just kind of like it just got your attention. You know, we were just little things.
Yeah.
And I remember that mom and dad, they stopped and we played at a little playground somewhere.
Mhm.
Whether that was just because they needed a break or we needed a break, either way, it happened. It was a lot of fun, but it was like that song you can very well remember that that's when it actually entered our lives was on that trip.
Yes. Yes. Very
Yeah,
heartwarming song.
it really was. You know, these kind of memories, I love doing shows like this because it just really takes you back.
Mhm. Yes, it does. Ebony
Ebony
and
and
Ivory
ivory
live
live
together in
together in
perfect
perfect
harmony,
harmony,
side
side
by
by
side
side
on
on
my
my
piano
piano
keyboard.
keyboard.
Oh
Oh
Lord,
Lord,
why
why
don't
don't we?
we?
Lovely lyrics.
That's a great song. I love those words.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song, beautiful message.
Yes.
It's just too bad that at this stage in the game of life, that those beautiful sentiments are only just that.
Yeah.
Like, get the memo, society.
Get it stat.
Fun fact. Did you know that Ebony and Ivory was actually recorded by Paul McCartney's, or yes, it was recorded for his album, Tug of War, and it spent 7 weeks atop the Billboard Hot 100, which made it the longest running solo number one track for either Paul McCartney.
McCartney?
I'm going to start the fun fact over.
Okay.
McCartney or his duet partner, Stevie Wonder. Quite possibly, Ebony and Ivory would be ideal as a sort of an ultimate can't we just get along song? Oh Lord, why don't we? That would be so nice.
Yes, it would.
Number 5, Islands in the Stream, 1983.
Not too many years ago, star power didn't shine or glow much brighter than that of Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, who combined charted 22, count 'em, 22,
Ooh.
number ones on the country charts back in the 1980s.
Wow.
Yeah. The blindingly obvious chemistry between Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton turbocharged this song's allure and popularity, and it became the number one song of 1983 and the second crossover hit for both the Nashville greats.
Mm.
Fun fact, did you know that the Bee Gees initially penned Islands in the Stream for the legendary singer Marvin Gaye and that it was written in R&B style?
Mhm.
Yeah, right? So later adjusted to fit Kenny Rogers' album, add the most beloved Dolly Parton to the mix. Once she came on board and started singing, the song was never the same and took on a personality all of its own. It was ethereal.
It's kind of crazy. Um, but like just recounting all of that, I I guess that really leads to the fact of why I thought they were married. I thought they were an actual married couple.
That's cute, Coop.
So I guess they paired well and they really sold it.
Yes, and there's something to that. That's called real chemistry.
Mhm.
This is what worked for people. This is what worked for the ears back then,
Yeah.
which then equal to sales and popularity. So you're not there's something to that. You were a kid saying that and feeling that, but there's something to that. So that is cool.
Yeah.
So the fact that they collaborated this most memorable tongue-in-cheek ballad demonstrated by way of historic nostalgia that the gamble paid off because as we know, it's one of the more lovable duets we've happily included in our countdown list. Love Dolly. Number 4, Easy Lover, 1984.
This lively inspired duet was performed by two renowned artists, two of the old school greats. We have Philip Bailey, the longtime member of the R&B group Earth, Wind and Fire, and the infamous former Genesis drummer turned uber successful solo artist Phil Collins. Sorry, I have to contain myself.
She's a
He
real
mastered
fan.
right. He masterfully came together and joining their voices on this hit for Philip Bailey's album Chinese Wall, which came out in 1984.
All right, so we got Philip Bailey from Earth, Wind, and Fire. We got Phil Collins. So you got
Yes.
Phil and Phil. And they come together and go, Phil! It's the two Phils.
Oh yes, that is hysterical. I have to say this song is amazing. It is really really cool, and it is by far one of my favorites.
I know. We was excited when we were doing research on these.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Philip Bailey, he brought his je ne sais quoi, and Phil Collins is in it. Of course, it's going to be amazing. So, this hot retro track was the biggest hit by far for Philip Bailey. But Phil Collins was also on fire by making Righteous Waves big time. And our next duet countdown entry for the following year with the classically emotional ballad entitled Separate Lives.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get more into that in a moment. Back to Easy Lover. Easy Lover was a rock funk collaboration in which Phil Bailey, along with Phil Collins, shared in both singing and writing credits on this 1984 powerhouse hit. I vaguely remember the video, and it was like they were just having a good time, just jamming together.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
like they were just in the moment. It's cool to see that. And it's undeniably blazed up the musical charts, but didn't quite reach the number one spot due to the ever familiar slow song sound by Foreigner, I Want to Know What Love Is.
Mm.
Okay, okay. We need a do over. We need to go back to 1984
Yes.
and change some stuff.
I agree because that's complete. That is misinformation. It should have been the other way, right?
Absolutely. Oh, not to get too hateful on Foreigner, but no, I don't see how that. Yeah, okay. So, a much loved song. It was a much loved song by many back in the day, that being Foreigner.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was up to us, this particular entry, Easy Lover, definitely would have beaten that song to the top spot, hands down. If it was up to us,
Hands down.
yes. Competition aside, Easy Lover was such a great and timeless '80s jam. Number 3, Separate Lives, 1985.
We sort of already spilled the beans as a spoiler alert for this entry just moments ago when speaking of the collaboration between Philip Bailey of Earth, Wind, and Fire fame and Phil Collins.
Say it right.
Spoiler alert! But now it's our pleasure to introduce and briefly discuss this next gem of an entry. Performance by the glorious raw vocals of both Phil Collins and Marilyn Martin, this mid 80s gave us the elegant, melodic anthem to the equally popular dance film at the time, White Nights. And that starred Russian ballet icon Mikhail Baryshnikov, Gregory Hines, who oddly enough looks strikingly similar to our Uncle Jay, Helen Mirren, and Isabella Rossellini. Now, earlier in the show this week, we had talked about how there's certain components that come together and makes an epic entity.
Yes.
And we mentioned Top Gun. Now, White Nights, this movie and the music in it, this is one of those things that if anybody remembers watching it and falling in love with it back in the 80s, this is one more of those examples.
Yeah.
So you got iconic actors, seasoned actors that are in it. They've got talent. So they're actually help drive the story, a good story, by the way.
Absolutely.
And then the music is almost like adding a little bit of spice or salt and pepper on your meal. Like it's just the nice enhancement it needs to make it go, oh, you make it go, oh, that was good.
Yeah, because it just made sense.
Yes, yes. And again, this isn't a movie that's just opening next month on a Saturday. This when people thought about this movie in this example with the music, they were like, White Nights, White Nights.
Yeah. Yep.
So totally
good
cool.
explanation there, Kennedy.
Thank you, because I don't do that very well, as you can tell.
Whatever.
Crazy, right? But not surprisingly, Separate Lives reached #1 on the Hot Billboard 100 here in the US. Also received an Oscar nomination for Best Original Score, which makes complete sense as we just described. This ballad, we absolutely love it. It's so emotive and riveting.
Mm-hmm.
It reveals a whirlwind love affair with the involved lovers trying their hardest to keep their feelings harnessed. The message easily came across, conveying how hard it is to let go of someone you truly care about, who's made your life happy in some way. And even though it may be wrong, so you build that wall to separate yourself. As they sung this melancholy trope, you could feel the pain in their voices and in the melody. Composed by the brilliant Stephen Bishop, the ending words of this lovely piece goes as follows. Yes, for now, we'll go on living separate lives. Goodness, the song was amazing.
It was. Yes. Could listen to it over and over and over again.
Yes, I do have that in my 80s playlist, by the way.
Hey, nice choice.
Yeah, you can't be a retro fan and not have this stuff on your person. #2, Next Time I Fall, 1986.
Yet another timeless, beautiful masterpiece that we loved hearing roll out over the radio waves, displaying two amazingly soothing vocals, that of Peter Cetera and Amy Grant.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Cetera and Amy Grant beautifully harmonized about falling in love all over again with the same cherished lover. Take it away, Parker. Sweet. This is such a good classic 80s song. So exceptional and uplifting. This one was no doubt a favorite and highly requested song at many a school dance. Pure mid 80s ear candy as we pop in our wireless earbuds and travel back to a much better time defined by truly talented voices in this memorable love song. Peter Cetera and Amy Grant made such a wonderful pairing on this song. The sheer passion that exudes from both of their powerful voices makes me happy each and every time I hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Cetera was at his finest when he collaborated on this song with Amy Grant. But since their voices are basically timeless, we may wonder why did he choose Miss Grant as his duet partner on this project.
Mm-hmm.
That being that she's a Christian singer made choosing her a little offbeat, but as we now know and see, Amy Grant made a great choice because Peter Cetera believed in her and liked what she stood for, knew that she was good like that, and Amy Grant was looking for an opportunity to make a pop crossover. So this
Oh,
was a win-win all the way around.
sounds like it.
The Next Time I Fall debuted on Peter Cetera's 1986 album Solitude Solitaire.
Hmm.
Fun fact, to prove that this song, as well as so many others, is the epitome of being retro timeless, get this. Just last year, some 34 years after this initial release, The Next Time I Fall was listed on a Billboard pop music list as one of the top 25 love song duets.
Wow.
Yeah. So good move. And for the record, we highly agree.
We do.
So now that we're at our number one retro duet countdown entry, let's do a quick recap of what we already enjoyed revisiting so far. We have number 10, Reunited for Peaches and Herb, 1979.
Number 9, Stop Dragging My Heart Around by Tom Petty and Stevie Nicks, 1981.
Number 8, The Girl Is Mine by Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney, 1982.
Number 7, Baby Come to Me by Patty Austin and James Ingram from 1982.
Number 6, Ebony and Ivory by Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder, 1982.
Number 5, Islands in the Stream by Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, 1983.
Number 4, Easy Lover, Phil Bailey and Phil Collins, 1984.
Phil! Number 3, Separate Lives for Phil Collins and Marilyn Martin, 1985.
And the number 2, The Next Time I Fall, Peter Cetera and Amy Grant, 1986. Number 1, I Knew You Were Waiting for Me, 1987.
Oh, this is a good one right here.
Mm-hmm.
So we have with this entry the up-tempo duet performed by two vocalist legends, that of Aretha Franklin and George Michael. I Knew You Were Waiting for Me, featuring a heavy bass groove, spent 2 weeks at the top of the Hot 100 chart in 1987, spending a total of 17 weeks there.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, it is said that it's always George Michael's, it was his lifelong dream and goal, to be able to have the opportunity to sing with the R&B great Aretha Franklin, um, which with this song, that dream was thankfully realized. This lyrical undertaking also helped Aretha Franklin to shoot to the number 1 spot on the UK charts.
As well as being the number 1 entry on our Caramel Apples countdown. Very important.
It certainly is. But it's of no surprise that it also reached number 1 on the US Billboard Hot 100 chart and remained there for 2 consecutive weeks. The music video was primo because it had them performing up front and center, like it wasn't a drive-in theater or somewhere that like possessed a huge screen or a jumbotron of some sort.
Yeah, that seems vaguely familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I'd better ask. I'm always making stuff up, but I thought that might have been in the video. But like in the video, again, if I can remember right, you can see both of them singing their hearts out on screen, which was, way cool.
Yes.
It was pure and emotive, nothing but live action and energy. I don't know. Great song. Legendary epic entry of the late 80s.
I wholeheartedly agree.
I mean, come on, 1987. It was such a good year.
Yeah, what do you always say? A very good year.
Yes. And there are many, many more duets we can cover and discuss. And, we'll just have to do this again sometime soon and add to this riveting, nostalgic list of memories as a continuation. The 80s had so many gems, so many treasures.
Yeah.
So it's so much fun to pay homage to some of these shining memories.
So, when we heard these beautiful, memorable masterpieces on a regular basis back in the day, we really kind of took them for granted, being in our generation and everything.
Uh huh.
And as we always notice and point out, sadly, there's nothing like them today.
Oh, facts.
Yeah.
And I truly feel so sorry for today's youthful generation. These 10 duet entries really highlighted a whole era when it came to what truly defined and inspired how life played out back then.
Mhm.
It also drives home the point how upbeat and captivating so much was back in the 70s and 80s when it came to entertainment.
Mhm.
We really had it so good back then, didn't we, Coop?
Oh, you could say that again.
Yeah. And more often than not, we had so much to choose from that was good versus now we're looking for anything decent. It's like wasted effort anymore.
Mhm.
It's just way more different now, unfortunately.
So true, Kennedy. And speaking of the younger generation, even though they can hit up YouTube or Spotify, to hear a number of any of these retro gems, truth of the matter is that they surely missed out on an amazing time in life when it came to music and top talent.
Yep.
I would say the 70s and the 80s and even on into the 90s was just an amazing experience of being able to listen to and engage, engulf ourselves amidst genuine raw talent. Duets prove to be an enviable example of this fact, and it's why we love our fond nostalgia. Take us back, please.
Pretty please. That's it. Take us back. Goodness. So tickets for two, please, and bound for the mid 80s. That's a vacation we'd love to go on, get lost, and never come back.
Oh, yeah.
The 70s and 80s were awesome decades when it came to classic duets. Sometimes you need more than one voice to make a truly great pop song.
I wholeheartedly agree. And that's it for this week's episode. To make sure that you never miss out on another second of our Caramelicious podcast, meet up with us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcast fix. Bye for now, and thanks so much for listening.
Ebony
Ebony
and
and
Ivory.
Ivory.
Okay, let's start over. So we'll
Okay.
do it 1 minute. Ebony
Ebony
and
and
Ivory
Ivory
live
live
together
together
in
in perfect
perfect harmony,
harmony,
side
side
by
by
side
side
on
on
my
my
piano.